Hello everyone, it's Jules by Jude. Today we're going to do our Polymer Clay Tree of Life. Alright, let's get started. Let me show you what I got here. I hope it's exciting to you as it was to me. And it was also very fun to show other people how to do it as well, which is why I do this. So anyhow, let's see. This one is a black one. It's kind of like, alright, it's a 3x3 cutter that I use. It's called a Tree of Life. You see how much I've used it since I've had it, which is not long. But I did do mostly black, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is too big to be a necklace." And I'm like, well, okay, for some people it is. It truly is. And even for myself it is. So, but there are some ladies that do like large jewelry and whatnot. So if you think you have that, or desire, or you have that clientele, then voila. Now, what I did was showed some people how to use it in other ways besides jewelry, and this is one of them. And it is not a finished item, because when I show people how to do it, or I teach someone how to do it, I expect them to use their own creativity in addition to what they've learned, which is usually what I try to do when I learn something. So what I did was I bought these little pieces of wood, okay, and they don't have this little wall hanging on it, or hanger, and it's unfinished. The whole piece of small pine wood, I guess it would be called. And what I did was, I did not bake this on here, I glued it on here. I think pretty much you could bake it if you'd like to. In fact, it just forms easier when you bake it on whatever it is you're going to use. So I would say yeah, but my imagination goes with more polymer clay around here. Other people had stones. They're like, oh, I'm going to fill this all in with stones. And another lady used her Tree of Life. She's going to put it on her basket. She makes pine needle baskets, and she's going to use that to embellish her basket. So, you know, there's just endless possibilities here. Jewelry is one, but all sorts of others is another, especially when you're working with a piece this big, okay? Seeing as how I knew I had a small class to teach, I was thinking, well, how do I get another Tree of Life? And so I thought, well, if there's one cutter, there must be a million. Nope. Bakerology is the only one I could find like this. And this is, and I did order another one, but I believe they're out of, I'm going to say England. Britain, I'm not positive. I should have paid more attention to the packaging. I was just so elated with the fact that I could do a Tree of Life, which I'll have to show you one day, a wire wrapping Tree of Life, which is all over the place now, but I did it a couple of years ago. I'm not saying I was the first, because I wasn't. I did get an idea of it on YouTube, and I only taught it to our club's people. So anyhow, since that day, I've always been heart goes to the Tree of Life kind of thing. So here is one done in a chunkier stone, and this may or may not be your thing, but I wanted to show different examples of how you could do this. So, you know, use your creativity when it comes to stuff like this. There are no mistakes. This stamp is basically, like I told everyone else, is your guide. So I would say, like, you know, when you stamp this out, and I will show you on the white, and they did not have the option of white, by the way. It was all black, because Judy did not want to, you know, torment herself with trying to get 12 to 14 pieces of white clay white and stay that way for her class. So I was like, no, we're doing black. It's easy. It's that color, and it's got a thing on it right here. But anyways, so what I did was punch these out because I only had one. So they were, plus the creativity is all in what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? So I had all different options, and man, they were creative. You know, I loved it. One lady did a mica shift, sort of, and she did 3 tones, and it came out beautifully. And then she placed her stones in there. So, and you could have just, she could have just left it that way. I think she's leaving one of them just like that. Beautiful work. I love to see people who do artistic stuff, especially local people in my club. So, our club, whatever. But anyhow, this is what they had to work with. Here's another one. And I showed one in the beginning because I wanted to show it up close. So it was an option. And I'll describe. Now the white came out pretty good. I love this. This I love. And I kind of wish I had done all white for them because the brilliance in the colorations that could come out. Now if I haven't said this yet, this type is seed beads. And the original one I showed in the beginning of the video is also seed beads, but the hole is showing. And some people do like that. So I showed that, you know. This is the one I really like the most. And the green one I showed you. Okay? So, wow. I'm really impressed by it. I'm going to have to use it in more than just a piece of wood. And maybe I could put it on a bottle or something. In a way, I wish it was smaller. Because I could wear it around my neck more, you know, comfortably, you might say. So, but to get that much spread out of it and beauty, I think it needs to be at least 3 inches. So, what are you going to do? Okay, this was an experiment. This is alcohol ink. And this may or may not be y'all's thing too, but like I said, variety is the best way, and experimental processes. A lot to be said for that. I do like the colors. I used the white alcohol ink, and it spread. It was beautiful while I was doing it as well. So it just spread all through the veins and everything. Now, this is a good opportunity to tell you that this impression is very deep. And this is a cookie cutter, not a polymer clay cutter, which I don't know if there's a big difference. But you have the crevices that could just, whatever you use liquid-wise could just run right through those crevices. So if you're intending on making something like that, for sure, make sure you have pressed your clay down very, very deep. Okay? I think I'm going to show you the white. That way, excuse me, we can get a version of that. So here's what we did, or I did, especially in the beginning. I took my cutter, okay, I rolled out 2 of my second thickest sheets and placed them on top of each other. This is a little deeper, and you know, than some of your other cutters because it is a cookie cutter, okay? But you still should have no issues. What I also did was use the water as a release agent, okay? Because I found that, especially after the first couple of uses, this is going to be a close call here. After the first couple uses of my cutter, it seemed like, yeah, I definitely had to do that. Gonna be a close call here. Very close. I have a bad habit of actually not cutting clay. Okay, we're in. Alright, so you place your cutter there and you press down. Now, don't press too hard, but if you see, my hands are rolling around a little bit because I want to make sure that I get the center in there. Because with this project, sometimes the impression and the depth is everything, especially when you're putting beads in there or paint. So there we go. That should be good enough, I hope. I hate to have to stop and... Okay, so this was fair to medium impression. But you know, for what I'm doing, I just really need to know where I'm putting those beads at this point. I don't really need them to sit too far down because they're seed beads. If they were a larger bead or stone, I'd probably want to redo this and put more clay or pressure, whatever the case might be, so that I have a deeper crevice to set those beads in, stones, whichever you chose to do your project with. So we're going to move on from here because that's just fine for me. What we're going to use to secure those beads are clear liquid poly clay. You can use any bonding polymer clay agent. Just the girls have my other one, so it's Sculpey. So you really can use any one you want. So now I do have my applicator, but it has taken a toll, and I don't know if I can dig out my others. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to do this, and the thing is, whoa, what we got there? This is time consuming. So what you have to understand is I may speed this up a little bit based on that, because Lord knows I enjoy sitting here patiently putting these beads and placing these beads gently in the location that I like. You may not want to sit through all that. So let me I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to show you how to do it and why, and then I'm going to do the one section, and then I'll catch back up with you with the leaves. So let me get started. I'll show you what we're doing here. I personally, first of all, you want to work on a tile, because you can turn the tile, and you'll see that in a minute, and I'll show you why. And I put out some poly clay on my tile. You can do that even if you're working on a smaller one. Okay, and like I said, I call this glue when I'm doing this kind of project. So I'm going to place my seed bead with the hole going this way and the round part going this way. So hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. They are small. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking my glue, quote unquote, which is the bonding polymer liquid clay, and in this case it's poly clay. Yeah, I'm not sure if it makes a difference one way or another. I'm not going to do this whole thing with that yet, okay? And normally I'd have a bead mat here, because man oh man did they ever get around. Okay, so I picked up my bead, and I'm going to put this is the way I like to do it. If there's another way, y'all, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to work from this part down and push in. Now excuse me, I'm sorry. The reason why I do this is because you notice that the toothpick is so low down to the clay. Now if I were over here doing that, I'd be making a line right in there, and I don't want to do that. So I want to kind of follow that down. Now when I get in a hairy sticky place, I lift the toothpick up a little bit and push down like that, so that this side of the toothpick is not pressing on my other parts of my clay, because that's not what I want to do. I don't want to mar it all up. Now when you get up here in leaves, if you have that situation, all you need to do is push down from the, like I said, from the top, this more like this way on the inside of that bead than this way. And if you did mar something, you can always add more leaves, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of this now. You get to see. And yes, it looks like, wow, she's no problem. You'd practice after I've done these about, 10, 15 of these suckers and then showed people how to do them. Because I learned from my own mistakes when I did this, of course. And we all do. I'm not alone there. Okay, so in this instance, this is what I'm wanting to get out of this, is a seed bead, and I want it to be placed in this position, which actually is the hole is this way and the bead is this way. Okay, in this particular situation, it's all what you want, keep that in mind, but uniformity is very important, but not completely necessary, because you could do the bottom with your seed beads and the top with your, it's your creativity, not mine. This is mine, so whatever you want to do from this, I'm just giving you hints and showing you how I did my own piece. The rest is up to you and what to do with it. I know a lot of people like to see finished products, and I do too sometimes, because I have like a brain freeze. So I'm like, when I see somebody else do a finished product, meaning completely from beginning to end like that, which technically I've done in a sense, but I leave what you're going to do with it up to it, what you want to do with it, And I think that should always be the case, but that's me personally. I think if we're doing this, we're artists or want to be artists or beginners or experienced, whatever, and we want that out of our pieces. That's what we want. If the idea starts from someone and you take it in a new direction, which is usually what you should be doing, there's not a dang thing wrong with that at all. I'm sorry, that's how artists learn, and if any other artist has not learned that way, then I just don't think that's would be the truth. So even this project, where I know no one has this cutter and is using it for polymer clay currently, because I look everywhere for it, they're baking with it. That's for sure. I haven't seen any polymer clay, so even this project is not new in the sense that I know there must be someone out there that has placed seed beads in polymer clay before. So I like it, it's fun. Just relax and enjoy it. That's what it's about. That's where your best work comes from too. Relaxing and enjoying it. I got a little glue stuck there, sorry. So you see what I'm doing? And I'm following my impression, but my impression is not the beginning and the end of everything. So even though you do have to follow that impression, because it's already impressed upon your clay, you don't have to end it there. You can embellish on that imprint, and that's what the leaves will show you in a few minutes. Of course, this is going to take me a little while to fill in this trunk. What I will likely do is fill in this trunk and start doing the branches, and then I'll do the leaves. Okay? So I'll be back to show you that in a second. Okay. I am at the trunk area, as you can see. And now is when I want to show you how we're going to be adjusting our pointer, our applicator, which is a toothpick. That's all it is. So you see that I do not have all my clay on my piece, because I don't need to do it that way, and it works better, I believe, if you just put it on the area you're doing and go from there. Now that I'm in the trunk area and I'm out of the root system, you can continue to place your beads the best way you see fit, but you have to raise that stick up above this. Okay, I gotta get my eyeglasses here. Hang on, there we go. Okay, so remember, if I was down here making a straight line across my clay, I don't want to do that. Remember, you could turn your tile however you see fit. So what I have here is one bead that I'm going to put in place, and I'm going to put it in there like so. My toothpick is above the clay. I got clay all over everything I cannot see. There we go. Get in there, you little booger. Yeah. And it's also important to remember that the clay that you put in there is going to bake clear. So here we have the system coming up here. The root system is coming up in this direction towards the trunk, of course. Like so. But I'm not, again, laying my toothpick down. Very, very important to remember that, okay? And you just have to adjust it up a little higher and pay attention. And you can get your bead in there, trust me. It just takes a little practice. If you're not having any success with it at first, don't worry, it's natural. These are small little pieces of beads. And I have a tad little bit of glue left on my stick, so they're real easy for me to pick up at this point. And sometimes I can't get them off the stick because I didn't clean the glue off. Well, I call it glue. It's not, liquid clay. I call it glue because that's what I feel like I'm using it as, the glue. So, and I am. It's it's not technically glue, but it's serving the purpose. Very similar to that. Sometimes I do wipe the tip off with my fingers or cloth because it does have too much glue on it. But it seems to be working. And as you see me going up the trunk, after that I'm going to stick with the same color scheme, meaning it's going to go all the way through to my branches. I'm not going to change the medium I use, which is the bead, and I'm not going to change the color of the bead or the size. But keep in mind, that's who I am, not who you are. Because these beads come in all different sizes. I had one lady one lady who had, when I had the class, I had all different sizes of beads and colors. And she filled her sections in with the glue and then poured the tiniest seed bead I think I've ever seen in my life in that crevice, and they stuck. And they look beautiful. Really beautiful. So there's just so much. And you don't have to have this real life to do this. All you need to do is have a very deep crevice and thick line. And that depends on how, what you're going to put in it to get embedded in your clay properly, your impression. And I don't know if we had mentioned that before. I know we did yesterday. That, polymer clay, sometimes detail don't work out very well for polymer clay. So if you have it too detailed, maybe not such a great thing. So now I'm back to being able to use this toothpick a different way again, which is not straight up and down or even a 90-degree angle. I can use it more on the 45-degree angle because I should have gotten a bead mat here. I'll show you. See? Because we're back in the section where you can, very similar to the trunk, not the trunk, I'm sorry, the root system, where you can kind of adjust that toothpick down a little bit more. It just helps you go faster once you learn these little ins and outs. And it's not that you have to go faster, but, you know, you want to be able to finish the piece in a reasonable amount of time. How's that? Okay, fast. Go back to fast. We'll say fast. It's more like me. Hurry up! Alright. Now I'm going, after I do this branch, after we get to the leaves. And then I'll show you how I do the leaves. But you see, this is hard to see possibly from the video, but this is the impression I'm following. And this is a blank black piece. So we're going to just take a look at what we're working with here again. And this is kind of similar. Okay? That's just to remind you what's going on here so that you can put them together in your mind if not. Oh, here we go. That's what I just did. I made a branch and I'm going to make the rest. Okay. Now you see the trunk and the branches are done. And I'm going to move on to the leaves. Now I have chosen to do, of course, my wacky old self, an orange leaf. Don't ask me why. I just decided that I was using white and it would come out really cool looking. So, to stay as we thought, we're going to pick this up. Now we're going to adjust our toothpick to a more upright position to lay these beads in. There we go. Usually, unless you have a large bead, I would not suggest using less than 2. You know, I mean, you gotta use at least 2. But once again, now also, what we're gonna do here, and I'm actually putting glue on the bead, that's why you don't see me dabbing at it. Okay. What we're going to do here is fill in our crevices, quote unquote. And then we're going to look at it and then we're going to decide where else do we want a seed bead to go. Okay? And it will get bigger. And see, there's also a line right there, but I'll show you how we fill that in a second here. Okay. Because you probably will. I mean, if I just did one, you certainly probably have the capacity to do it as well, no matter how I tell you to put that bead in. It just happens. So, now that I see it, I'm going to put it in like that, and it takes it away, and there's not another line there. It's as easy as that. You keep messing up, you're going to have leaves all over your tree. You won't. I really need a bead mat. A bead mat would be really good, you know. But I have them stashed away right now, so and I really wanted to get this video for y'all. If you do find yourself having to lean towards the beads that have already been placed so that you don't draw that line onto the clay. You could probably do this with crystals and it would look as beautiful or more. What do you put on it after you're done baking it? Well, the answer to that question is you can use the Renaissance wax, or you can spray a small amount of acrylic on it. If you resin it, you need to remember what you used as your medium to create it. Polymer clay can handle the resin. Most things can handle the resin, but you certainly still want to keep that in mind, okay? And then what goes into play is shiny against matte. Like the matte finish, if you're using this piece, which most people would be, not as jewelry, a matte finish might be better than a glossy one, and so on, which is also with jewelry too, but you have to look at your finished piece. You can use this too, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, as a lot of people do their journal covers with stuff like this and projects like this. So don't forget that either. The possibilities are endless. I believe that's how they say it. On my stick. If you pour the tiny, tiny little beads on there, after you bake it, you have to look at it. There's probably going to be some beads that did not stick because they were on top of other beads and so on. So if you have that situation, I would spritz it with acrylic. Just a teeny tiny little bit. Until you decide what you're going to do with your final piece, which you might actually want to put more than just a tiny little bit of acrylic on it. You'll see as you go. Polyurethane is also, a possibility. There's, whatever you use to gloss with or protect your piece with, I believe that most of this can handle it. I don't see where the seed beads can't handle it. I'm pretty sure they can. And that's what I'm talking about, is using it for either your protection, to protect the piece, or your effect to add to your original piece. So as you can see, this is coming along pretty good. And I'm going to shut you off again. After I fill in my crevices, I'm going to show you how you maybe help you to decide where else do I put a piece besides where my original impression was. And then that way, dip that a little bit. You'll get an idea of what I'm talking about in that aspect. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright. So I finished putting on all my little leaves, and I'm looking at it and saying, well, I need another one there. I have two lines here. Okay, so what I do is, just dab a little glue there. Glue, Polymer, liquid clay, bonding clay, liquid, however you'd like to say it. Now I just want to put one there. There's no mistake or line that I'm covering. So, that's what's left to do here besides baking it. Now, when I bake my pieces, see there's a line? When I bake my pieces, and I do it at 275 for 45 minutes. I put a little piece of foil tinted over the top so that it doesn't touch my piece. And that's it. Rest is depends on what you're going to do with your piece, okay? It's like I said, this is a rather large piece, so the end result will absolutely depend on what you're going to use it for, as far as the finishing process. And I already talked about that. I know one of the students is going to wire wrap it around the piece and add stones. That's what she said. I can't wait to see it. There we go. So use your imagination and have fun. It's only clay. They're only seed beads. You got this. Let me put another one here. And where you place your seed beads will be entirely up to you and how you see the tree evolving. But you definitely can add more of the leaves to the tree than what the impression has given you. And if you're interested in this cutter, I ordered another one, so it's going to be weeks before I get it, I believe. And that is primarily because it's from the United Kingdom, so I don't know, who's watching the video, or Britain, or somewhere in that area. But Bakerology is the company. So if you get a hold of them, they're on Etsy, they're on Amazon. It's all right there. And so far, all I could find is them who makes this exact cutter, and it's for cookies. So don't shy away from it because that's what it is, because I use cookie cutters all the time. Experiment. This is the tree. My favorite one so far, I think. I have a couple. Is this one. So, this is Jules by Jude. If you like this video, like it. If you like it, share it. And please subscribe. Thank you.